Another Friday, another episode of Beyblade X. In this episode, we're going to be reviewing / recapping the third episode of Beyblade X, which features another battle with Nanairo, this time versus Kamen X, and then a whole lot of talking. So let's move on, and let's do a little bit of a recap for the last episode. In the last episode, we saw Bird and his Bay Hell Scythe go up against Nanairo and Wizard Arrow, and Bird lost. Big surprise. And our next opponent is Kamen X with Dran's sword, except Multi swaps from her kind of celebrity look to a top hat suit look, and she swaps bays from Wizard Arrow to Knight Shield. That is her gimmick. It's one of the reasons why her name is Multi, because she has multiple bays, multiple personalities. But episode 3 kind of explains that a little bit more, and how it's kind of a big thing to her persona and to her fans. And even Kamen X thinks it's super cool, but he's super aloof most of the time. But then the battle is underway, and Dran's sword starts taking shots at Knight Shield. Although, because Knight Shield is a defense type, it's kind of tanking the hits, barely even moving. And that is all part of Multi's plan. That's kind of why she swapped from a stamina to a defense type, because defense types are supposed to be good against attack types. It's the whole type triangle.
We're not talking about this or this. We're talking about this.
If you guys want to buy any of the Beyblades that are in this episode in real life, I highly recommend you check out Mall of Toys. They have Hell Scythe, Wizard Arrow, Dran's sword up for sale right now. And they also have some of the upcoming releases like Rhino Horn and Dran Dagger up for pre-order right now, and those are going to be releasing in early November. Go and check out Mall of Toys, links in the description down below, or you can scan the QR code and use code ilinnuc to get 5% off of your first purchase. Then Kamen X and Dran's sword go for the X dash special move, and Multi's actually kind of worried about this because Dran is so powerful, because it's moving so quickly, and the impact is huge. And while Knight Shield does take a massive blow, it does come back to the stadium and it does survive. And of course, Multi is relieved, she's like, oh my god, I lived. But Multi is definitely rattled, and X gets into her head, and we're kind of in this blue mirror world where it's just kind of the focus on them two talking. And then we see something that's not surprising, but we have not seen before. Multi thinks she's safe until Dran's sword activates a second X dash. Nobody saw that coming. In real life, Beyblades can do multiple X dashes, so why not in the anime as well? But anyways, the second X dash is then activated, and we kind of see the same animation again. I hoped that maybe we would see something a little bit different, but it's the same kind of super slow-mo on Dran's sword, catching onto the gears, and then flying with the blue and purple trail. I'm hoping we get some animation changes that makes it a little bit more special in the future. And this is the X dash that does the trick. Knight Shield does take a massive hit again, and this time it goes out of the stadium. Kamen X wins. If you couldn't tell yet, this is really setting up just how strong Kamen X is, because he does beat Multi here with really no issue at all. There was never really any doubt that he was going to lose. It does make sense though, because he was at the very, very top with Team Pendragon, and he wanted a little bit more challenge, so he wants to climb the X Tower again. I am hoping that in the future, maybe he does lose one, or it looks a little bit closer, because as of right now, he's a beast. He kind of reminds me of early Metal Fusion Jinka, where he was really, really strong, and is able to easily beat just the average blader, no problem. I miss that show. I need to watch Metal Fusion again. But the crowd goes wild, and Kamen X is kind of soaking it in. But then Multi starts to struggle a little bit. She starts to cry. She weeps. Her massive fan base that's watching starts to kind of tear up as well. Multi just kind of starts to be a little bit of a baby about it. The Kamen X walks up to her and reveals his identity as X Kurosu, and she kind of stops the tears because she realizes that she didn't lose to some random nobody. She lost to X, who was on Team Pendragon and is one of the best in the world. So it's like, okay, it makes sense. It'd be like if one of you guys tried to battle me. You get crushed. But would you really be that upset? Then we move on to the second half of the episode, which was full of a lot of talking, a lot of exposition. They do. I am a grown man at this point, and I still laugh whenever I say doo-doo. There is something that is different from the manga here in that Multi sets up her camera and starts to kind of record or live stream, kind of pushing her whole influencer idea thing. And she gets the rest of Team Persona involved with Kamen X and Bird. And Kamen X is, of course, just perfectly fine in front of a camera. Bird is a nervous wreck, though, as you could tell. He kind of kills the vibe a little bit. We then go into a bit of like a training part of the episode at the very end. And Multi puts on a pair of glasses because she's about to push some knowledge, push some information. And she even talks about branding a little bit and how the team is like very Kamen X based. That's kind of what I got from it. She is an influencer, so the whole branding thing is kind of important. Then we see another battle, this time Bird versus Multi, Hell Scythe versus Night Shield. And Bird doesn't even seem like he really tries here at all. I mean, he has these little impacts that hit Night Shield, but because Night Shield is a defense type and its kind of ability is absorbing impacts, nothing happens, and Hell Scythe ends up losing via a spin finish. Big surprise. And while Bird is losing, Multi takes this time to kind of explain Night Shield and kind of talk him through the battle, I assume in the ways that he's garbage. And then at the end of the episode, Bird meets up with a couple of his friends that we saw at the very beginning, the same group that was with him in a little Beyblade team that ended up dropping him and disbanding because they all sucked. I mean, Bird still sucks. And it's a little weird, but you know, they kind of come back together again, and I hope we see these characters in the future. And that's the episode. There we go. We do have a bit of a preview for the next one. For the next episode, we see the introduction of the base sponsor, because every team has to have a sponsor, like a full sports team. We see a little bit of like the little guy. Can't really remember his name for some reason. I'll put it down here. And then we see Mako Maiden, who uses Shark Edge. And she was definitely really cool in the manga, so I'm hoping the anime does a good job here. But that's gonna wrap up the episode. What did you guys think? In my thoughts, I thought it was pretty decent. You know, there wasn't really a lot that went on. Kamen X versus Multi wasn't gonna be super exciting because Kamen X is so much better. Multi joined Team Persona, and then we see kind of an anime exclusive scene where they're kind of like live streaming or recording, and Bird's a little bit weird here, a little camera shy. It's one of those episodes that besides like 30-40% of it, it's very dialogue and exposition heavy. So I wish the animation was a little bit more expressive because there was just a lot of sitting around. This was kind of my complaints with the first episode that I think the second episode did a better job with. To be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to review this episode because like the first 30-40% of it, we had stuff going on. In the last half, we had some cool stuff, but for the most part, it's a lot of talking. Then I'm going to leave that one up to you. If you guys want me to review every single episode individually of Beyblade X, let me know in the comments. But I am excited for episode 4. We're going to get quite a few battles there. We're going to get a new Beyblade introduced with Shark Edge. And it's not long until we see Team Zuganic, who is easily my favorite looking team so far. So I'm hoping they do a good job with them in the anime. But that is going to wrap up this video. If you liked it, hit the like button down below. Hit subscribe to join the Nook Nation. We just hit 300,000 subs, but the grind never stops. I'll see you in the next one. Have fun and bay away.